Hello, my name is Mike K. Welcome to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about Sister Wives Season 17, Episode 16. So I thought this episode was going to be the last episode, but it's not, and there is a third part. I should have figured that since there was a third part last season, but in my mind there should only be like 2 parts, reunions and like one-on-ones, but it's fine because that means more content for y'all to watch. So again, this will be late like the other videos, but I'm trying, so please work with me. But let's just get into the episode. We pick up right where we left off with Mary finding out about Cody wanting to rekindle their relationship, allegedly Christine not being in favor of it and throwing a big fit about it. We immediately switch over to Cody's point of view, and he talks about how he was so excited to tell his wives about this moment and how he felt like his marriage was gonna be fixed with Mary. Then Cody makes an attempt to cry. It doesn't work. He should go get some tips from YouTube and start taking tips from Robin because obviously it's not working. And he touches the host while somehow trying to fake cry. This is random. One of my biggest pet peeves is when people touch me when they're talking, or they feel the need to touch me to try to get their point across. It's so annoying for me because I don't like to be touched unknowingly knowing I'm going to be touched. Anyways, that's neither here nor there. We end up going to Robin, and the host tells her about the whole situation with Mary and Christine, and talks about how Cody was so upset and distraught at the fact Christine had a bad reaction to wanting to rekindle the marriage he had with Mary. And the host ends up asking Robin, do you think if Christine would have acted better or gave him similar the confirmation to go fix his marriage with Mary, would Cody and Mary have a marriage at this point in time? And Robin says yeah, and I do not like the fact that she said yeah. Let me explain why. I do not like how it's pinned on Christine why the marriage between Mary and Cody did not work out. The marriage between Mary and Cody did not work out because of Mary and Cody, not because Christine had some big freak out over them fixing their marriage. I refuse to believe that. And then if Cody really wanted to fix his marriage with Mary, he would have somehow made some type of compromise, or would have just done it anyways, even if one of the wives felt like it wasn't the right decision, because he's done it before. And then they see him as the head of the family. I'm using it with air quotations. His decision is the only one that really matters in their eyes, so what difference would it make? That's what I don't like, and I just don't think it's true on top of that. But then we go to Christine, and she says she doesn't particularly remember the situation, or she doesn't even know when or how that happened. So basically she's saying that it either did not happen like that, or she was just having a bad day and Cody just put the icing on the cake. And how is everyone supposed to remember every bad day they've had in life? I don't have terrible days, but when I do have bad days, I try to act like they never happened and just move on with my life. So why wouldn't someone else do the same? But yeah, that confirmed it wasn't true. And then I feel like Christine will own up to it and put a real explanation about what happened instead of her just randomly being upset. I think we all know this, so no need to rant about it anymore. But we go back around to Mary, and she tells Christine's side, and Mary says she doesn't know what to believe, and she's just confused because she's heard Cody's side, Robin's side, and Christine's side, and it's all somewhat of the same story but a different story. And I think that was the best decision, just to say you don't know, because on one hand, Cody could somewhat be telling the truth. I said somewhat because I think he has a very selective memory and will try to convince himself that someone is the bad person in the situation when it's really not like that. Kind of like gaslighting himself. So when he gaslights others, they can believe it as well. But anyways, Mira talks about how it hurt her to know that 2 years ago he was willing to fix the marriage, but now it's just out of sight, out of mind type of thing. I hope I used that saying correctly. Let me know if I didn't and how I should use it. But anyways, and I'm pretty sure it did hurt her. I mean, it would hurt any person who has emotions, because he basically told her you aren't good enough for me and you never will be good enough, but she continues to sell herself the illusion that they will get back together or they can fix things. They never got along from the beginning, I don't even believe. And I believe we get into that a little bit later in the episode. Anyways, the best thing Mary can do for herself is to leave Cody and realize that she's not person he wants to be with anymore, and go find someone who does want to be with her, because I know Mary can find someone. And I get we all don't really like Mary, but I think if she were to get away from Cody, we could see Mary maybe become a happier person, a better person, because when you're around people who drag you down, they drag you down to the level they're on, and Cody is obviously not on a very high level when it comes to just being a halfway decent person. Maybe we'll see Mary just become a better self when she gets away from Cody. Maybe she's off better by herself, or maybe going to be with someone else. I don't make it seem like she needs to go be with someone else to be happy. She doesn't, but just being around different people and new energy can really put you in a better spirit and just put you in a headspace and really change your life for the better, at least in my opinion. Of course, change is not always good, but I think sometimes a long-term change is better for us. We may not just realize it in the moment because we don't like change. Not everybody dislikes change, but you get my point. So moving on to something a little bit more lighthearted, we go to Janelle, and the host and her are talking about all the happy times they had as a family, and everybody goes and looks at the clips of them having fun and just big moments in their lives. Robin's wedding, family vacations, pregnancy announcements, or whatever the hell was in those cluster of clips. But I think we also saw Garrison coming home from like military camp or something. I don't know. This is my first season, so I'm still trying to figure out some stuff. So anyways, but we're gonna move on. We go back to Janelle, and she says seeing all those happy times really just makes her happy, but then she also remembers there are also a lot of hard times in the midst of all those good times. The host asks her does she miss those times, and she says yes, because all her children were at home and they were all raising their kids together. And she believes as time went on, their differences of opinions pushed each other away, and nobody's really the same. Everyone has evolved, their children have children, they're all grown up, like things have just changed. And since all their children have grown up and the big part of their family and their marriage is centered around raising children and doing what was in the children's best interest, even though they didn't do that all the time, that was a big part of it. And I feel like it creates this conversation about how you need to have a life outside of your children, because one day they are going to grow up and have a life of their own, and you can't hover over their life and be overly invested in theirs. You need to go be invested in your own life. And I also think that's one of the reasons why their marriages failed, or like they're failing now. They were overly invested into the kids and really took time to figure out what they wanted for themselves. Christine is doing that now. I'm not gonna say it's too late, but I definitely wish she would have done it earlier so she wouldn't have to deal with Cody for so long and him say messed up stuff to her, rude stuff to her. Speaking of the crazy stuff Cody has said to Christine, why did he tell her maybe if you would have saved your grocery money, you could have went on vacation too, or it was something like that. At that moment in time, me and Cody would have had to tussle, because Cody, what are you talking about? Save grocery money? Why would I save grocery money when your kids have to eat? Anyways, I'm not gonna get on that rant because then I'll just go into this deep rant about Reddit and all that. But anyways, we go to Cody and he's talking about his marriage with Mary, or the marriage he had with Mary. He talks about how from the very beginning it was always very rocky, and once they got past the honeymoon phase, that's when it really showed that they weren't really compatible for each other. On top of them wanting to be polygamous and create this big family, it became very difficult, but he felt pressured by the church to marry Mary and basically just make it work even though it wasn't working. He intentionally stuck through it, and he also talks about how Mary would nitpick everything Janelle did when she first came into the family. Rather, it's about the different brand of laundry detergent Janelle got, or about the bread that she got. Just anything there was for Mary to complain about, she complained about from the very beginning. And we go to Janelle, and she talks about the tension between her and Mary in the very beginning. She basically says the same thing. They argue about everything, whether oranges should be in the fridge or not, which, by the way, oranges belong in the fridge. Do not want room temperature fruit. But that is not the point. Going back to the scene, Janelle talks about how she's the type of person to push her feelings down, but Mary isn't. She's just very confrontational. She's gonna stay how she feels. Janelle was kind of offended by it in the very beginning, just because, like, why are you being so unnecessarily confrontational? Like, I know that exact feeling she's talking about, because I am that type of person as well. I'm not confrontational. Like, I would rather just talk about it and not deal with it than actually resolve the issue. And I know that's terrible, but I feel like somehow that brings me more peace, even though it doesn't, but whatever. It can be just like a small bliss bit confrontational and you feel like offended by it. It's the weirdest thing that I can't explain, but if you are non-confrontational, you know what I'm talking about. We go to Christine, and she basically says the same thing Janelle does, that Mary is very aggressive and confrontational. Mary doesn't see it as being confrontational. She just sees it as having a conversation and them needing to work it out, but it is very confrontational. And Christine also had her struggles with Mary, arguing about how clean the kitchen was, or how clean it wasn't, or how they cooked, or what they didn't cook, and basically just became too stressful for Christine Christine. She basically just washed her hands with Mary and they stayed out of each other's way for the most part. I know the exact feeling Christine is talking about too, because it's like, especially in your own home, dealing with someone who's overly confrontational or they like nitpick everything, it becomes so stressful to the point where you just want to stay out of their way because you don't know what they want. They feel like you're being cold towards them when you really just don't know what they want from you, so it's best just to leave it alone as a whole. I don't know, for some reason I'm really resonating with like the non-confrontational feeling and like this feeling as well. I mean, I'll always resonate with it, but it's weird seeing other people have that feeling as well. That could just be me being very self-centered, but it's still just weird to know. But moving on, we move on to Cody, and he talks about how there was a point in time when Janelle had left the family and moved in with her mother because she felt like Cody was not giving her enough support when it came to Mary and Christine. I guess basically them butting heads and Cody trying to be in this neutral spot but really just making things still overly complicated. Then as time went on, Cody had said he was moving to Wyoming, I believe, and he was going to pack the family up because he wanted to expand his career. Which, this is a quick question, what did Cody do before Sister Wives? I've never questioned that. Just because the show has been on for so long, but what did Cody do? Is he a carpenter? Did he own his own business? I don't know, because I would like to know, because how are you supporting 18 kids? That's what I want to know. And I know some of the other wives worked as well. I know Janelle did, and I think Mary did, and I think Christine was a stay-at-home mom part-time, and she also worked part-time, so I think maybe she would stay at home with the kids while they go out and work at whatever job they work. Then when they come home, she would go to work. I think I've heard that before, or maybe I could be lying, but I think I've heard it before. That's how the schedule went. But anyways, that's not the point. But eventually Janelle ended up changing her mind and moving back home once Cody decided he wanted to go venture off and find something different to do with his career. Go to Janelle and she says it did not exactly happen like that because they were all living in different houses, so it wasn't like she just left the family or anything like that. They kind of just had their own individual lives, and maybe she distanced herself from him. And for some reason it sounds like they're talking about two completely different situations, two different time periods. Maybe they're talking about the same time period, or Cody could just be lying, I don't know, or Janelle, but I highly doubt Janelle has a reason to lie. I don't know, that didn't really make a lot of sense to me, but we're gonna move on. We go back to Cody and talks about how when Christine was brought into the family and meditated the situation and made things less tense between Mary and Janelle, and he wanted her in the family because her family was royalty at the church he was at. Basically boosted his ego because he's I'm gonna be marrying the royalty of the church and get to have what other people don't get the opportunity to have. Which this statement was just the icing on the cake, and it basically was you didn't want to marry Christine for who she was. You wanted to marry Christine because you felt like it would be easier on your life, and somehow she wouldn't want you to be a real husband and she wouldn't want you to attend to her needs. I also do think it worked out like that in the very beginning because they had so many children that they had to focus on. There wasn't any time for real relationship growing and building. I do think for a short period it worked, but I think as the kids just got older, Christine realized she got cheated of a marriage. But speaking of Christine, her and the host talk about how she's had a very hard year, especially when she had to tell them all that she was moving and selling her house. And they go and all watch the clip of them all sitting down and Christine telling them, and after they watch the clip, the host asks Christine how did she stay so calm in the moment when Cody was having that big tantrum. Christine said she stayed so calm in that moment because she had never seen Cody act like that before, so she was in shock that Cody even had a big outburst like that. And they go into talking about Cody's big tantrum that he had over Robin, and Christine says she never felt like she treated Robin rude or mean or she was cold towards her. Maybe distance because they've never had the best relationship, but she doesn't feel she was mean or cold towards her or anything like that. I don't think she was rude or cold towards her in any type of way either. I just think Robin felt entitled to a relationship with her. And once Christine had kind of set a boundary that I kind of don't want to have that type of relationship with you, Robin couldn't handle it and put the title on it as Christine was being rude and mean. I think maybe she had jealous and she envied what Cody was giving to you, but I don't think she was ever mean towards you. But I feel that Christine had every right to be jealous and envy that relationship because you're putting so much effort and you showing how much you can care for somebody. When it comes to our relationship, you choose not to do that. I would be jealous and envy that as well if I was Christine. But then we go to Cody, and in the clip, Christine and Janelle end up hugging because after Cody's big tantrum, everybody walked away, so Janelle went to go console Christine. And after watching that, Cody says he doesn't understand that relationship between them. I guess because they never got along in his eyes, and it felt like Christine was somehow jealous of Janelle and Mary and what they had with him. Then it goes into this rant about how he doesn't know who he can trust, because him and Mary aren't obviously together anymore, and him and Janelle are distant, and that only leaves Robin because Christine left the family. So Rose ends up asking him who does he trust, and he will not answer the question, but we all know it's obviously Robin. And here's the thing Cody does not understand. He feels by him not answering that he didn't give the people the answer that they wanted or that they expected. He feels that it's some type of mystery when it isn't. By you not answering, you gave your answer, and that's obviously Robin. Because he'll speak on every other wife, but he refuses to speak on Robin, and we obviously can see that, so we got our answer. So no need to use your words, Cody, because we definitely get the point through your actions. But moving on to Janelle, and while we're speaking of Robin, Janelle brings up how Cody tries to act like Robin is some angel and he magically solved all the family's problems when she came into the situation. If anything, she brought more problems, because I heard that Robin had a lot of debt from her previous marriage, and they were already struggling financially before Robin came along, so I'm pretty sure it didn't help, and Janelle had to figure all the finances out. Anyway, she basically says that Robin is human just like the rest of us, and she's made choices and mistakes, so let's not make it seem like she's just some angel who fell down from heaven and is trying to be some peacemaker when that's not the case. Especially when he takes sides, because he tries to act like he doesn't, but he very obviously does by the way he acts. But then we go to Mary, and they end up talking about the scene where Mary said that Christine had mistreated Robin for years, and she kind of doubles down on her statement by saying she was coming from a hurt perspective, and she can see Christine's perspective a little bit more she could beforehand, because of course she was hurt and in her feelings. We end up going to Robin, and the host asks, do you feel you were mistreated by Christine in the beginning? He says not necessarily. Of course they had their challenges, but she didn't necessarily treat her bad, but she ends up doubling back by saying Christine would make little snarky comments, and she felt like they were working through things, but she would just cut her off and put up like a brick wall basically. I find it odd that she was about to backtrack, but then she'd end up saying something like, if you and Christine didn't have a bad relationship in the beginning, then that's okay, just say that. Because I personally do not think they had the worst relationship, or I think they had their difficulties, yeah, like any other relationship, and them being sister-wives did not help, yes. I do not think they just had an overall bad relationship to where they couldn't even be in each other's presence. I personally do not think it was like that. I've only seen clips here and there from earlier seasons, but from what I've seen, it seems like Christine had her issues, but she wasn't like being super cold towards Robin or anything like that. Moving on, we need to go into Cody, and they talk about this scene where Robin was crying and Cody was like, she's mistreated you from the first day, and like stop asking them for love basically. And he just wasn't talking about Christine, and he says he just wasn't talking about Christine, that was directed towards everyone, basically saying how these people don't care about you and they've shown that over time, so stop asking them to care about you. And I think this is all just weird, because I feel like if Robin was really being treated that badly, she would leave the marriage. But while I say that, I also do think in their religion and just in polygamy in general, they're taught to accept the bare minimum, and like them simply just being a halfway decent husband spending time with you is like the most amazing thing he could ever do. And really, generally, it's just the bare minimum. So while I say that, I also don't think she would leave if she was being treated that badly. But anyways, we go to Christine, and she talks about how she hasn't always been close to Janelle. They've just started recently getting close since they've been in Flagstaff. Rose brings up her allegedly bashing her other sister wives, and Christine says that's not true. She get irritated and complain, but it was never just a bash fest, making fun of them, talking very rudely about them. It was just complaining about certain things. I feel like everybody does that with people in their life. Like, nobody's perfect. I've complained about people have complained about me. Like, it's nothing new or wrong in my opinion. I do feel complaining can be taken a little far at times. It's no longer just complaining about certain things. It's like an attack on the person person, but I don't think Christine necessarily did that. They also end up talking about how Cody called her mean, and Christine says she felt like she wasn't. I don't think she was either. I don't think she was mean for putting up boundaries for people who weren't safe for her or who were no longer safe for her. I think that's what all people should do, but I think a lot of people are afraid because of consequences and dealing with people like Cody, to be honest, or just having a fear of their reaction once you do decide to put the boundaries up. But I feel like once you have the boundaries up, their reaction no longer matters. But that's just me, but we're gonna move on. We go to Cody basically blaming Christine for why the marriage did not work. It's not his fault, he did nothing wrong, it's purely Christine's fault, and he like really believes that he did nothing wrong, or like he just like the perfect husband or the perfect father all the time. And that's the crazy thing. I think Christine would have stayed in their relationship longer if he was like at least a halfway decent father. But he couldn't even do that. So it's like, what are you talking about? And don't get me wrong, it takes two people to ruin a relationship. And I do think Christine played a part into it. It's because, like I said, it takes two people to ruin a relationship, and maybe they're just not compatible. And that's fine. I said two people, just not one. So Cody is also included in that. And if anything, he took up the majority of why the marriage didn't work, in my opinion. So I do think a person can have the majority of the blame for why the marriage did not work, but I do believe it still takes two people. But anyways, we're gonna move on because I don't want to get too ranty, more than I already am. Cody is just going on about how Christine was the problem and all of that, and have you ever heard that saying that children should be seen but not heard? That's how I'm feeling about Cody at this moment. Like, please just be quiet for the love of Jesus. Please nobody take that dead serious or anything, because it's not serious, and nor am I being serious. So anyways, moving on, we go to Janelle. We end up looking at and talking about the goodbye scene between all of them and how they were just on two different sides of the patio, how awkward it was. And Janelle says in the beginning she did not see McKelsey's point of view, but now in present time she sees her point of view, and she's glad that they did the goodbye. We go to Robin, and she says she really didn't want to be there, and it was super awkward, but she still wanted to be there to let Christine know that she was still there and she was still open to have a relationship with her. Before I start, I am not a Robin sympathizer or anything, but I do truly feel that if Cody was a better husband and maybe they would have started their relationship off a little differently or something like that, that they could have had a good relationship and had a long-lasting relationship. Because I think we all can somewhat mutually agree that Cody is one of the main reasons why Robin and Christine do not have a good relationship, because he tried to play middleman, but he was really just being a manipulator. That's just my opinion, because I know a lot of people like to only blame Robin, but I think we'd all be lying to ourselves if we didn't say Cody played a part into every single one of their relationships and why they don't have a good relationship, or things are just overly complicated for no reason. But that's just my opinion, and if you feel differently, that's completely fine, or you can explain why you feel differently, since I haven't watched the whole 17 seasons. Moving back to Janelle, and they end up talking about how her and Christine have gotten really close, especially over the years, and especially since Christine has divorced Cody. Janelle says that she's been building a relationship with Christine for years, and Cody is either just now noticing it or he's just blind. Honestly, probably both, because Cody likes to be up under Robin all the time, so he probably has no idea what's going on with his sister's relationships now. Maybe previously, like 10-11 years ago, but not present time, I don't believe. Anyways, the host ends up asking Janelle, what do you think Christine is looking for in a man, basically, since she's left Cody? Like, who's her crush or whatever? And Janelle says that she's into some type of orc, like animated, I don't know what it is. I'll show a picture of it, but that's what she's into, basically. Just literally the complete opposite of Cody, like not even similar in any sense. Go to Christine, and the host asks her who is her celebrity crush, and she ends up bringing up the orc from the video game, and also ends up saying Shamar Moore, and they end up laughing, giggling about it just because it's something to laugh about, I guess. I think it really showed her personality a little bit, of how fun and giggly she can be, and how Cody really drained the living life out of her. I'm glad that she's loved Cody and she's been able to get it back. End up going to Robin, and the host asks, do you want to know about a relationship with Christine in the future? And Robin says that all depends on Christine, and basically she's open to it. They also talk about how Robin feels cheated from the big family unit because that's what she came into and that's what she has always wanted. But I feel like at the end of the day, she still has that. She just needs to be grateful for what she does have and make it work out, because she still has a pretty big family, I feel. You may not have a very good relationship with them, but I feel like she can fix them if she really wanted to. But then also at the end of the day, they're all adults and all make their own decisions. Lastly, we end up going to Cody, and the host asks, what is your relationship with Robin? Basically doesn't answer the question and just gets upset, but we know your relationship with Robin, so it's okay. But that was the end of the episode. Like, comment, subscribe if you want. Sorry for this video being 2 weeks late, but at this point, what video isn't late? So yeah, and I have a poll in my community post that you can answer, see what show I review next, so please go answer that if you want. You don't have to, but yeah, thank you so much for watching, and bye.